Did you know that in Fortnite, written on the side of the pump action shotgun is SMRTYNG-LDY110693? This is a reference to the very first Jurassic Park movie, which was released on the 11th of June 1993, which is what the previously mentioned numbers were referencing. As for the other writing on the gun, that reads as Smart Young Lady or Clever Girl, which is a reference to this scene from the film.
Clever Girl.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Video Game Easter Eggs, the series where we cover some of the best Easter eggs found in video games. As always, if you think you know of an Easter egg that I'm yet to cover, then let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to check it out. Oh, and a big thank you to my patrons for their awesome support. And without further delay, let's get started. Right, let's begin today's video with Super Bear Adventure. Now, in the last episode of this series, we discovered that this cutesy looking platformer had a very dark secret. That secret being the backrooms. Well, it turns out that there are even more Easter eggs to find in Super Bear Adventure, with both of today's finds being hidden in the giant house level. This level sees you shrunk down to size and exploring an everyday home. Well, an everyday home with some cool secrets. First up, if you look under the bed, you can find this. So this shadow is the shadow of Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. Quite why it's under this bed, I don't know. The other Super Bear Adventure Easter egg that I found is a reference to a game that gets referenced all the time. Once again, on the giant house level, you can find this. So this well-hidden area has a very simple message, that being, the cake is a lie. Like I said, this is a very common thing to reference in games, but for the 7 of you who don't get it, this is a reference to Portal and its infamous cake. Oh, and something else that I wanted to briefly revisit is the Silent Hill Easter egg in Goat Simulator 3. In my 7 Easter eggs that reference other games video, we discovered a spooky rest stop named Quiet Hill, which was of course a reference to Konami's classic horror series, Silent Hill. Now, loads of you pointed out that if you went behind the rest stop, you could find 2 NPCs by a fire, with one named Marion and the other named Jones. These 2 are references to James Sutherland, the protagonist of Silent Hill 2, and the mysterious Maria, also from Silent Hill 2. Next up is fast-paced first-person shooter Forgive Me Father. Forgive Me Father is another in the long list of retro-inspired FPS games that have proved to be very popular over the past few years. It's funny because before I owned a PC, this type of game didn't interest me in the slightest, but now I think that fast-paced arena shooters like this are awesome, though not as awesome as I think you were if you hit the subscribe button right now. Anyway, much like other retro FPS games, Forgive Me Father has its fair share of Easter eggs to find, starting off with everybody's favourite sewer-loving clown. Listen, I know that we're all getting sick of red balloons, but what can I say? I'll keep covering them if devs keep including them. Next up is a reference to another clown, though this one prefers a life of crime. In one of the padded cells, you can find this. So this message is a reference to this scene from the excellent Batman The Dark Knight.
He comes at me with the knife. Why so serious?
The final Forgive Me Father Easter egg also references a much beloved movie. In the catacombs, you can find this. So this unlucky chap is a reference to the time that Han Solo was frozen in carbonite in Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Next up is the ever addictive Bloons TD6. Now, I've had this Easter egg recorded since October of last year. But if I'm honest, compared to other Bloons Easter eggs, this one left me underwhelmed, so I've been reluctant to include it in a video. Well, a couple of you have suggested it to me, so I thought that now is as good a time as any to mention it. If you click on the rocks that I do, in the order that I do, this will happen. That's not all though. If you click the waterfall, an egg will make a brief appearance before disappearing back underneath the water. Now, I know it's not the most exciting Easter egg in the world, but it's still something that you could show your Bloons loving friends. Now, one of the best Easter eggs of recent times can be found in Choo Choo Charles. For those of you who don't know, you could activate a cheat that would change the face of the demonic train to YouTuber Moist Critical. Well, today's Choo Choo Charles Easter egg is even more unsettling. At this location on the map, you can find this. Now, normally when you find something like this in a game, there is usually some sort of explanation as to what the hell is going on. That's not the case here. I have no idea why, at this random location, a bunch of dolls have been strung up. So if you know something that I don't, please let me know in the comments. Right, let's end today's video with the really good Dead Island 2. Now, a lot of recent game releases have launched with poor performance, or worse, bugs and glitches. So after being in development hell for 9 years, I was thinking that Dead Island 2 would be more of the same. Well, it turns out I was wrong. Dead Island 2 is a very good game. Don't get me wrong, it won't be winning any end of the year awards, but if you're looking for mindless zombie slashing fun, then you could do a lot worse than Dead Island. However, there is one thing that has left me disappointed in Dead Island 2. And that's the lack of Easter eggs. The original Dead Island games weren't packed with Easter eggs by any means, but there were still cool things to find if you looked hard enough. First up, in one of Dead Island 2's many mansions, you can find arcade cabinets for the excellent Time Splitters 2, and the not so excellent, but still not as bad as people made out, Homefront the Revolution. Now granted, they're not playable, but it's still cool to see presumed dead franchises being referenced in 2023. The final Dead Island 2 Easter egg can be found just outside of Emma's mansion. If you head down these stairs, you can find this. So this grave belongs to a dog named Sam, who lived to the grand old age of 4. Now I'm presuming Sam belonged to someone on the dev team, and I have reached out to confirm. As soon as I have an update, I'll let you guys know.